All right, hello and welcome to the Douglasville Impact Community Podcast. I'm Jason Post. Thanks for joining us for another episode. We've got a great show coming up today with a fun special guest. So we're going to jump right in and introduce everybody on the screen today that's joining us. So we've got Miss Emily Hardaway with us
Hi.
and Mr. Chris Dixon
Hello, Douglasville.
and our special guest today is Mr. Dana Gray, our community development director for the city. Correct?
Hello, everyone. That is correct.
So we're gonna have a good conversation later, talking a little bit about all that these guys do, all of what Dana's team does with community develop. There's a lot of stuff. They cover a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of stuff that nobody thinks about until you need it. and once you need it, it's like, gosh, where do I go to find that? And it's Dana. It's Dana's where you go. So we'll talk about a lot of what they've got going on later and all the fun stuff they got happening. So, but welcome to the show. We're gonna talk a little bit about some news and some events. So who's gonna go first? Emily, you want to talk about some recent news we got happening in Douglasville?
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Awesome.
So first news item, we've got some of our elected officials were recently recognized at a council meeting by the Georgia Municipal Association for completing some trainings and completing uh Municipal Leadership Institute. So,
Yeah.
council members Estes, Miller, and Hudson, they completed the Robert E. Knox Jr. Municipal Leadership Institute. And so that's a multi-day seminar designed to help city officials strengthen leadership skills. And you have to complete that in order to get certificates in of excellence, distinction, and dedication, which is kind of like, the top levels of distinction that you can get with the Georgia Municipal Association. And so then council members Estes and Miller also received the certificate of excellence due to their completion of that program and number of credit hours they've accumulated. And then Mayor Robinson, she received the certificate of dedication, which is the highest one that you can get with GMA. And that requires 272 hours of training, including at least 108 hours of a required training, and 18 hours, which it has to be from an advanced leadership track. And then they also have to complete a newly elected official institute and the Knox Municipal Leadership Institute. So lots of training that she
Lots of
did,
stuff.
lots of lots she did lots of stuff to get to that level.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, huge accomplishments by all of them. And just kind of goes to show like how dedicated our elected officials are to training and to keeping up with the latest what the latest information is for elected officials and how to best serve our community.
Yeah.
So yeah, so congrats to them.
Yeah, they recognized them at the council meeting, but yeah, I don't think that's something that a lot of people realize. I'm not sure what all people think the elected officials
Just
do.
have
If
to
they
get elected, right?
yeah, you get elected and then you show up at the meetings and you listen and you respond to stuff. But there's so much stuff. I mean, there's required trainings that all of our newly elected officials and all of our regular elected officials are required to go through on a regular basis to stay up to date on things, to make sure that we as a city and they as an elected body are doing things appropriately and doing things correctly and doing things that are aligned with law and legal needs and stuff like that. So there's a lot of training and education that goes in to make sure the city is run right from the elected officials body and stuff. So they put a lot of time and effort into those trainings. The Georgia Municipal Association is great about providing all of that information and those required trainings, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work and it's a lot of hours just sitting in classes and taking these trainings to make sure that they're up to date on all those things. So it's something that people don't really think about happening. I don't think people really wrap their head around all the back end kind of work that goes in as an elected official. I think they're just kind of out in the public, waving and shaking hands and stuff like that. But there's work and training and education and continuous stuff that has to happen to make sure that the city's being run right and appropriately and legally, and that we're doing everything in the right way. So there's a lot to it. So it was neat to see them all recognized. Yeah, because they put on a lot of work and a lot of effort and a lot of class hours to
Yeah,
get those things. So yeah, it's good stuff.
exactly. So congratulations to them. And in other news, our Dose of Douglasville Citizens Academy application is now open. So this is it's a 10-week program where if you're selected, you'll get to learn all about different city departments and kind of how city government operates and runs. And it's just a really great experience for people who want to know more about how the city operates, what we do, different departments, kind of how we function. So it's a great way to learn how things operate. And you can just go to our website, douglasvillega.gov, and you can find the application and apply.
Yeah, that's an awesome class because we talked about people don't think about or know what goes into the daily, job of elected officials and what all they do.
Right.
But that applies across every department in the city, right? I don't think people realize, what all. Well, we're going to talk with Dana here in a minute about community development. People have no idea what all Dana does, and all of the divisions and stuff under his department and stuff. No idea until you have a need. So that's a great way to get people plugged in, and they know how the city operates from the back end, and they can then go out and tell their friends if they got questions and stuff. So it's a great program. 10 years, I think it's been running, right? Coming up on 10 years.
Yeah, almost 10 years.
Yeah. So it's a really cool.
In very high demand.
Yeah. So when those applications open up on Chris's website, they fill it fast. Those applications come flying in. So yeah.
And we have a good time presenting to that staff. So I mean to that class.
Yeah.
Where we give a really good overview of what happens with planning and zoning. And then the funny thing is that we get participants asking about a shed or a fence or a minor dispute with a neighbor and how we handle that, or why do we have to get a permit for certain items. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
And that helps us because we're in these things all the time. So we may not, sometimes we don't think about the questions that people have out there because you're living in it. You're like, oh, I didn't realize this wasn't something that people knew. So it's good for us to go and talk to people like that and say, oh, okay, this is information you need for sure. So yeah, so each department, each of those key departments, like Dana's department has a night where they come and they present everything that they do. Parks and Recreation has a night, and then tourism has a night. We have a night with community relations where we talk about everything that we do with community relations. So each department has a night dedicated where you come and you learn everything that they do. The police department has a night, so you go and hang out with them. And I don't know if they take them to the firing range or play with the K9s. Who knows? Usually some fun stuff. So there's fun stuff from all the departments. Because even the ones that you don't think are exciting, I think finance is one of the more popular nights, and you think, okay, we're going to take the evening and we're going to talk about budgeting and dollars and finance stuff, right? But I think that's one of the more popular ones because they walk them through like a council meeting and a council agenda when they're getting things approved budget wise and stuff. So a little mock council meeting. So yeah, they do some fun stuff.
Oh yeah.
So it's very popular. When they open up, applications come pouring in. So if you're interested, definitely jump on the website, Citizens Academy, Dose of Douglasville. You should be able to find it pretty easily and fill that application out for the next session. I think we do 2 a year now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yep.
Yeah. And actually, a little pointer here that I'm going to go into a little more detail on when we get to me is you can find that at douglasvillega.gov/dose of Douglasville. All one word.
Right. We got our nice little friendly URLs. We make it for everything we possibly can to make it real easy for people. So yeah, /dose of Douglasville. Perfect. Was that all the news, Emily?
Yeah, that's all the news I have. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, Chris, we can go ahead and jump to you then. We got to talk about events and stuff coming up, right?
Great segue. Just a little caveat, friendly URLs or furls, as we call them in web world, are easy ways to get to different points on the website that you need to get to. So I'm going to be talking about several of those in the events that I'm going to be talking about. So pay close attention. The Jingle Jamboree is coming up, probably the biggest event of the year, the most popular event of the year,
Yeah.
or one of the most popular, I'll say. That's coming up on December 4th, but registration is open right now. And you can find that at douglasvillega.gov/parade. That'll take you straight to the place where for $45, you can enter your float. And we want everybody to participate in that. Civic groups, schools, churches, everybody wants to enter a float, do that. Parade starts promptly at 6:30 and goes right down Church Street. And as we saw last month, the construction on City Hall is no problem. So
Yeah, and this one's fun. So I mean, this one's been growing year over year. Every year we get a few more floats and a lot more people. I think last year we had between 7,000 to 8,000 people in the downtown for our Jingle Jamboree, because it's a Christmas for one, and everybody loves Christmas. But it's at night. It's not as hot. You know, the 4th of July parade gets a little hot. The Christmas parade is nice and cool. Sometimes it's really cool. But it's at night, so all the floats are lit up, and they've got lights and music and Christmas decorations, so that's all fun. And then the Jingle Jamboree, the whole festival part that happens at the town green after the parade with Santa photos and live reindeer and vendors, the mistletoe market, and all kinds of fun stuff. So that's that's probably one of the most popular city events that we do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
For
and
sure.
you talk about drawing 7,000 to 8,000 people to the downtown. That's a pretty big event. So
yeah.
that's a good one. So yeah, go ahead and get your applications in because it's a fun one.
Yep, absolutely. Also, the CVB, I'll call it. Can't think of what that stands for, but
The Convention and Visitors Bureau.
yes. Okay, thank you.
From our government alphabet of things.
Even we forget sometimes.
Yep.
Our tourism team is hosting another family reunion workshop, or a reunion workshop, they're calling it. They're kind of drifting away from just family, and there are clubs and schools and other things that have reunions, and they can be a huge help to you in those reunions. They'll have a session on August the 29th at 9 a.m. at Ike Owens Community Center at Hunter Park. It's going to be, they'll have vendors, facilities, and other things that you can learn about for planning your reunion. If you can email info@discoverdouglasville.com, they can answer any questions you might have about it. So plan to attend that.
I think that registration is required for that event. So if you are interested in going, you can just email that email address that Chris just shared to sign up.
Yep. And it's also on our, just go ahead and segue to the community calendar. And that's on our CVB website, which is visitdouglasville.com/community events. You can find all the events going on in the city, and all events going on in other areas.
Yeah, and I think we made that one even easier. We made that one even easier.
Cultural Arts Council their events are on there.
Douglasvillecalendar.com. I think we grabbed that URL to make it even easier. So the Douglasvillecalendar.com will take you directly to that community events calendar as well.
Perfect.
No, even okay. Yeah. We try to make everything as simple as possible for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's right.
But you know, our parks department always has more events going on than you can shake a stick at. So I won't even try to go into all those, but just tell you that you can find them at douglasvilleparks.com/events.
Yeah.
They have their Spark after school program that they're really pushing this year. It's a great program where kids can spend the afternoon and early evening at one of the recreation centers and be in good care there. They also have their Youth Innovation Lab, which is new this year, and they have bunch of different programs in there, some STEAM nights and a bunch of other stuff like that. And then, of course, our 50 plus activities. There is a ton of stuff for seniors 50 and older. And our Marshall Long does such a great job with that whole program. And so you can find all those events on the website as well. Our police department has their evening yoga twice a month on Wednesday nights. They also have a town hall coming up on August 25th. And you can find those events at douglasvillepolice.com/events. And then, of course, the public's always invited to our city council meetings that happen about twice a month on Thursdays and Mondays. And you can find all the information about those meetings at douglasvillega.gov/city council. They actually even have their own portal that has their agendas, their meeting dates, all of that stuff. So
you can watch videos of past meetings and see all the agendas of past meetings and everything.
You can actually watch the meeting for the particular day live.
I don't think you can probably see behind me, but this is one going on the TV behind me. That's probably Dana at the podium there talking.
And interestingly enough, when I come to your office, I'm always on the screen somehow. But okay.
Yeah. So those are on the portal. They're on our YouTube channel. They're on our Comcast channel 22 as well for those meetings. But yeah, Dana's a frequent visitor to the city council meetings.
That is correct.
And his planning commission meetings too, that are always on the first Tuesday night of the month.
Oh,
That's right.
We have one tonight.
You can watch those as well.
Yeah.
And that's it for events.
Yeah, that's a lot of events, and you gave a lot of URLs and a lot of kind of web addresses. So yeah, it's a lot there. Suffice it to say, if you go to one of the city's websites, if you do a /events at the end, you're going to find the events page. But yeah, the communitycalendar.com, which is our tourism calendar, that one is a little unique because it's not just our city events. Like Chris was saying, that's one where you will find CAC events, school board events, county events, even just public organizations. If they want to submit them there, that's where you can submit events from all over the community. It's not just city put on events. So on our main city website, you're going to find city events, park events, police department events. On that community calendar event, you're going to find all those plus more, because you're going to find Cultural Arts Council and county and school board and just churches or organizations. I think, Chris, you got one today for Farmers Table's got one coming up, right? So that's just like
15th anniversary. Yeah.
15th anniversary of Farmer Table. They're going to have a big festival party celebration, so the public's all invited. So that's a calendar and space where we can promote those kind of community events that are happening that are just free and open to the public and stuff. So if you're out there and you have an event coming up, you can go to douglasvillecalendar.com. There is an application on there where you can submit all of your event details and information. There's some guidelines and restrictions because it's not, there's some things that we can't allow because we're still a city. But yeah, as long as you made all the guidelines on there, it's just a good community event that we want to let people know about. Yeah, you can put it on there and Chris will get it added to the calendar. So lots of stuff happening, and that's a good place to find all of it. So yeah. Awesome.
We try to make it easy.
Yeah, as much as we possibly can. So, all right, let's so on that note, let's transition over to Mr. Dana. And since he's on the screen behind me and he's on the screen in front of me, he's everywhere all the time.
Double vision.
Yeah, because you guys are doing stuff everywhere all the time. Because again, like we were saying earlier, I don't think everybody realizes all the stuff that you and your department do. So you are the community development department, correct?
Yes.
What all? Let's start there then. What all does community development do for the city?
Well, we do a lot of things. So, again, we are community development, and we have 4 divisions. One being permits, another one being code, and building inspection. So it's kind of 3. Did I leave anybody out? No, I did not. Okay. So everybody's familiar with planning and zoning. Sorry.
Planning and zoning.
Everybody's
Yeah.
familiar with permits. So most times when you're doing some level of construction or making a change to your house or your business, it requires permits. So when you come into the new building, the new city hall, we're the first that you see in the lobby. So we have 2 permit techs sitting up there right now. We have a permit manager that sits in the back, but they take care of all your permitting needs. They take care of special outdoor events, yard sales. We take care of large permits for like warehousing, interior commercial, all the way down to a small fence, perhaps if it's at a certain height. Our code enforcement division will go out and keep the city beautiful. I've been hearing that a lot, that they're in charge of keeping the city beautiful. This is what the residents are saying. So we get messages from residents that might have a concern about something. And we have 5 officers all together, and they are over particular wards. We have 5 wards, so they're over the wards. So if it comes up in that particular ward, then that code compliance officer will go out and address that matter, investigate. If it's something a little serious, they'll create a case with it. But it's called code compliance. So code is very motivated to help the citizens learn about their small infraction or their big infraction. So one of the most common things is high grass. So do I have to cut my grass? The citizen says, well, yes, you do. It has to be 12 inches and below if my measurements are correct. But they give the residents an opportunity to come into compliance, whether it takes a week, 2
Yeah.
weeks, a month. So we're very sensitive to that. And at the same time, they'll educate you on why it's that way, why we don't want to see broken down cars in the driveway or on the street. So code takes care of that. And then we have, as part of our building process, after you get your permit, you definitely start your construction, but there's different phases that need to be inspected, like plumbing, like electrical, like the heating and air, like the foundation and the studs and things of that nature. So there's various stages that our inspectors will go out to make sure everything is, for concrete example, that it's poured correctly, that it is in the proper place that reflects the site plan that was reviewed and approved. We'll look at the studs that go up. So and then we have planning and zoning. So planning is our long range, which we use our comprehensive plan to guide us and help the city grow and to maintain things that are already here. And then zoning is our things like we look at lots. We determine what it's zoned. We determine what you can do with that lot, so that you can build either a house or a commercial or a church or a warehouse. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
community development.
That's a lot.
That was a mouthful.
So
And
there's a
you
lot
got
of things you
great
do.
crew
Yeah.
working for
Right.
you too,
And
Dana.
yeah.
Okay.
And you do. You have a great
Yeah.
team, and then
Yeah,
and
it's
they do an
definitely a
amazing
great
job.
team. And let me just shout out my managers. The planning and zoning administrator is Chelsea Tubbs, and our code compliance office manager is Rico Cody, and our permits manager is Angela Epps, and our building official is James Burke. So
Nice.
they're awesome managers and a team to have and to work with.
Nice. And
Mhm.
so when we're talking about all these different things, and a lot of people will hear this and they'll think, well, why does the city need all this? Is this just another way for you guys, to charge me money? Am I just
Mhm.
having this is another way for the city to get money out of you? So I think it's important to talk about the reason and the importance behind all those different divisions that you guys do and how it affects a community. So when we're talking about code compliance, we did change we've changed the name a little bit over the years. It used to be called code enforcement.
Enforcement, right?
But we wanted to come away from that because, like you said, the goal is not to go out and give somebody a citation.
Right.
The goal is to go out and educate them on, this is why it's important for you to cut the grass. This is why we need to make sure that the car on the blocks in your front yard is removed or something like that.
Mhm.
So the goal is to educate them and get them in compliance. It's really not to issue a citation and get any money out of them. That's not our goal.
Right. Absolutely.
And that one leads to not only just beautification. You're talking about that's the kind of thing that leads to a beautiful community, and that's what people want to see. Your neighbors and stuff, they want to live in a nice, pretty community. But there's also like a public safety element of that, because there's a theory or whatever. I forget what it's the broken window theory or something like that, where you talk about when things get out of hand, beautification wise, when the yards start to get out of hand, the junk starts to pile up. That kind of look and feel in a community leads to public safety issues.
Right.
That starts leading to more issues that the PD now has to respond, that the police department now has to respond to, just because if you're in a really community that's well kept up and they're keeping up their lawns and their grass and everything looks good in their houses, then you're less likely to see that kind of stuff. And that's just statistical facts and stuff. That just it kind of leads. It's a stepping stone to that. So keeping people in compliance with code is, there's a safety and a public safety element to that.
Correct.
Not
And
just we're trying to cite people to get money.
Right. And I think the residents appreciate that. But
Yeah.
a really good example is if someone has a large piece of property, let's just say 20 acres or something like that. And a lot of people think, well, this is my land. I have a right to build what I want to build on it, even if it's a small shed. But at the same time, if you come and get a permit, then we know that you had a licensed contractor, which it provides safety for you. It provides that you just didn't get someone who says, I can do this, and then a year down the line your building is falling. So it really is a protective measure that's in place for that.
Oh, absolutely. And in that other division. So yeah, the permitting and the building inspections and all of those elements, again, is a safety feature, because if you let people just build whatever they want to build without anybody coming in and checking to make sure you're doing it right,
Correct.
and to make sure you're doing it safe,
Right.
a year later the building falls in, and somebody gets hurt, and so who's at fault?
Right.
Or if you didn't put the right, fire, sprinkler systems or fire escape, type access, and something happens and somebody gets hurt, now there's a problem. So it's not that we're coming in and saying you need to do this because we want to charge you extra stuff or anything, or we don't want you to be able to do what you want to do on your land. But we're coming in just to make sure whatever you're doing is done properly and safely, so that anybody who's in that building is going to be safe and secure, that it's not going to fall down on them. And if there's an accident or an issue or a fire or something, there's proper escape routes and labeling and things like that. So,
and then we have something that's called a certificate of occupancy. So our final inspection is to make sure that you can occupy that home, that building, that warehouse. So that's really important. That means everything has been reviewed and approved, and it is now safe.
Right. And then the other thing that you guys do a whole lot of when you're talking about the planning and zoning, that is that long-term planning. So when you come before us on council, he's probably back there again. When you come before us in council, a lot of times that's talking about, hey, we've got things zoned for a certain thing. We've got our long-term plans, but we've got people coming in, they want to build X, Y, Z things, whether that matches what that's zoned for. And that's more, I think that's something else that people, I think, appreciate, that we're looking at what kind of things are coming into our community, what kind of businesses and things are coming in. And the goal of those long-term plans and those long-term zoning things is to make sure we have a good mix of the right things, right? So you guys have that long-term planning, and you've got your UDO, another set of letters that I can't remember what they all stand for.
So,
So make sure we have a good mix, right?
Right. So another good example, which NIMBY, not in my backyard. So we help. We try to do our best so that does not happen, so that you have a nice residential area and a warehouse cannot go in your backyard. So it is definitely a protection measure. Once we do review a piece of property, we know the zoning. It may not be the zoning that developer wants, but they come before council with a rezoning request to change it to one classification to another. So not only does staff review that, but the mayor and council, city manager have an opportunity to review it and see why they want to do that. Is it appropriate for there? And then if it is, then it's approved. If it's not, then it's denied. So
yeah. And then again, so that's making sure that we're protecting people who are in the neighborhood. Maybe they're not right next in there. They're next to property that's zoned for other additional residential,
Right.
but you don't want somebody coming in and say, hey, I want to take that residential property and rezone it to, whatever industrial or something and drop a factory or whatever in there.
Right.
So that's not good for that neighborhood that's already there. We've got that long-term plan and those long-term zoning maps and stuff like that with that in mind. So we have a good mix of residential and business and stuff, and in the right places.
And
So
the
there.
commercial.
So So with that note, with that talk of residential and long-term planning, you guys just completed a big study that I know you've been working on for a while that's focused on housing,
Yes.
a big housing study, right? So we're going to talk a little bit as we wrap up here about this housing study, because this is a really important one. And this is a really big one that impacts our community. So first off, give us a big high-level overview of what that means. When we hear housing study, I don't know what my brain thinks of. So what exactly did we do when we looked at the housing study?
So I'm gonna preface it by just saying the simplicity of it. So in so many ways, we can't see everything that is happening in the city. We can't see who's coming in. We can't see we always can't see who's buying what, who's renting, where, what type of demographics do we have. So we partnered with the Matrix Group, and they did a heavily data driven analysis of the city, of things like demographics, the housing stock that we have here, who's purchasing, who's renting. It'll look at the age groups, who's dominant age group. It'll look at our seniors, our middle age. What are they buying? They'll look at the housing types that are here, the single family, the townhomes, smaller homes, anything of that nature. So it provides us with statistics and graphs and percentages that we can read, review, and it becomes a really powerful guiding source for us, not just for residents, but for developers to see that the opportunities that we have. So gaps are identified, things that are missing, things that are challenging. It was a study that allowed the community to weigh in. We asked stakeholders to become involved, and stakeholders and community live here. So they know the heartbeat, they know the challenges, they know the rewards. This study helps us in that way.
Oh yeah, so when you talk about data and statistics, I was looking over some of them. I get lost in a lot of it because man, there's a lot of it there.
Right.
But the jump out thing to me was the growth.
Yes.
So let's talk just so people have a good idea. Let's talk a little bit about the data that comes as far as growth. What is because just jumping back to like the year 2000, what are we looking at population growth in Douglasville that's not stopping?
So we've grown significantly. I do believe we started at 19,000. To date, we're at 40,000.
Yeah.
And based on the percentage of growth and time, it was projected at 2025 we'd be at 70,000. So we're growing pretty fast.
So 70,000 by what year?
By 2045.
2045. Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the next 20 years. Because over the past 20 years, we've doubled.
Right.
We went from like 20,000 to like 40,000. So, and we're not stopping anytime soon.
No.
So the growth is here. The growth is happening. So this helps us to kind of determine how we steer into that growth. How do we adapt to that growth? What do we need? What mix of stuff do we need to come to the community to support that growth? Right.
Yeah. And part of that is, now that we have the residents, becomes a goal to make them stay.
Yeah.
What can we continue to offer from the city of Douglasville, so that part of that study as well is who's leaving the city to go to work and who's coming in. So how can we provide more workforce or jobs that our residents can live, work, and play in the city of Douglasville? So having these statistics, we want to set up amenities. We have great amenities already, like Town Green and the parks and trails and things of that nature. But that helps us with our goal for retention of our residents and provide them with the best that we can provide them.
Yeah, and then it also gives us a little tool when we're going out and kind of doing some economic development type work to say, look, people are saying, hey, I want this kind of grocery store to come. I want this kind of
Right.
restaurant to come. Well, those grocery stores and those restaurants, they're looking for these numbers. They're looking for the
Right.
population. They're looking for the
Yes.
daytime population. They're looking for the foot traffic in the area and things like that.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
having that, when people are saying, well, I don't like growth, but I do want a Costco or something like
Right.
that, right?
Right.
That's the one we hear a lot. I don't want
Right.
more growth, but I do want me a Costco. Well, Costco
Right.
wants a little bit more growth.
Right.
And that's pretty much what it comes down to. So having these numbers is something we can go back to Costco and say, hey, look, we got the growth now. We got the
Right.
numbers. We got the households.
Absolutely.
So this one particularly is a housing study.
Mhm.
So we're talking about kind of our housing market and what we have available and stuff. So the findings necessarily didn't say that we need a whole lot more housing, but what it said was we need a greater variety of housing. Does that sound
It
accurate?
does. So, part of the as I said, part of this housing study is community engagement. So we had several meetings with the community. We had a survey that was put out, and the residents did indicate that they want more diversity in housing. They want the opportunity to have smaller housing, smaller lots, more affordability. Seniors want a little bit more. We are providing for seniors, 55 and up or 65 and up apartments, but some seniors want, the transition to a smaller place and it still be their own. We want young professionals that want to be first time home buyers. So how can we provide those smaller units? They identify cottages, ADUs, and one thing that was lightly mentioned was guest homes. Children are coming back home sometimes.
Yeah.
So if it's in the range to build a guest home, that mother or father who comes back or that child who comes back can still maintain a level of independence, but still would be with the family. So those community meetings helped us to see the pulse and what the community is looking at, what the community does not want to see. So it helps us move in that direction.
I think that the cottages that you just mentioned, Dana, I think was so interesting because as a young professional who is wanting to, buy a home
Mhm.
soon, one day,
Right.
a little cottage like what you're talking about is exactly what I'm looking for.
Right.
Something that is, I'm like, I don't need a 4 or 5 bedroom house or anything like that. And I definitely do not want a yard. Cause I don't want to have to be responsible. So yeah, a small, and I think that's becoming a lot more popular with, my demographic and all that is, we're looking for smaller lots where because we don't want to be in an apartment anymore.
Right.
We're kind of out of that phase, but we're not ready for the 4 or 5 bedroom house or whatever. I don't know if I'll ever be ready for that,
right?
but yeah.
Right.
But just a little like cottage is just, what we're trying to,
Okay.
an affordable cottage type is what we're
And I'll
looking
throw
for.
in too, speaking from the other end of the spectrum, as I'm obviously not a young professional, but
What?
I'm looking to
Yeah, what?
downsize from a large house to
Right.
something smaller. I have one child left at home. He's almost done with college. And another thing is thinking about the type of house. To me, it would be very important for my next home to be on a single level
Yeah.
with no stairs.
Right. There you go.
'Cause
Cottage
I've
home.
seen with my parents, that's a
Mhm.
very big issue. So
But to piggyback on Emmy real quick, I have a young professional here who I challenge, and she said, I don't, there's nothing here. I don't want to do this. I want to be where it's happening. And I said, well, you're living in an apartment right now. And I'm not going to say anything's bad about apartments, but imagine if you can afford a smaller home and no one's attached to you and you have a small plot of land and you can actually walk to go get your groceries, or you can walk to the amphitheater and enjoy
That's my
some
dream.
shows
Yep.
and the farmer's market. And she was so stern at the beginning of
Yeah.
the conversation. And then she just kind of saw it. She said, oh yeah, you're right. I guess that would be nice.
Yeah.
So you own the home and you're in a growing area. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, that's exactly what I'm looking for is
Right.
something, owning a home, that is manageable for me. But being able to be in walking distance of
Mhm.
restaurants and, um, amenities like town green or a
And
park or
the
something
trails
like
that are
that.
coming up.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I think a lot of when we're talking about, hey, we need some smaller homes and some smaller lots and things like
Sorry,
that.
y'all.
No, you're good. You're good. I think a lot of times historically, people who have been around a minute, you might hear that and they're like, okay, so you're talking about affordable housing, you're talking about low income housing, you're talking about these kind of things but that's not really what we're talking about here. We're not talking about necessarily homes that are small and lots that are small because we need a low cost thing. We want and that's we want some variety. We want like that entry level housing option. But all of these aren't because it's a cost restrictiveness, right? So like when Chris talking about an empty nester wanting to move out and downsize, they're not looking for a smaller home and a smaller lot because they can't afford a bigger
Mhm.
lot. They're wanting it.
Mhm.
I mean, so we're talking about smaller cottage homes that are not cheap and low quality. We're talking about homes that are more affordable because of the size and the scale, not
Mhm.
because of the quality. So you're
Right.
talking about people who want. I don't want a cheap, home that looks cookie cutter like every other home, down my
Exactly.
street. I
Exactly.
want a home that is really cute and really well made and
Mhm.
stuff, but it's small because I don't want to cut the grass, and it's
Mhm.
small because I only need 2 or 3 bedrooms or whatever.
Right.
I just need a
Yeah.
room for me and my wife and and stuff because the kids are gone.
Mhm. And I wanna
It's
sit on my porch and enjoy
Yeah, I want to sit
my
on a nice
neighborhood.
Yeah.
porch.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
enjoy the
right, right.
neighborhood and the neighbors and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
so I think it's a little bit of a misunderstanding because we've heard that a lot. Even when you're talking, you mentioned apartments. Even when you're talking apartments and townhomes, there's a different mindset for the young professionals coming in. They're okay with because there's some super nice townhomes and apartments out there.
Right,
Oh
absolutely,
yeah.
yeah. With
There's
good
some really
amenities.
nice ones.
Yeah.
And there are people who are like, no, that's what I want. I just want that nice little townhome community, or
Right.
or I want the apartment kind of community that's got some really nice amenities right near downtown.
Mhm.
And again, it's not because that's all I can afford and this is cheap. It's
Mhm.
because that is the lifestyle I'm looking for, and that's
Right,
the
right,
community I'm looking to engage in. But
right.
the cottages, particularly, are not necessarily, it's not something that we've always thought, well, those are like the affordable housing things or the low income credit things or something
Mhm.
like that.
Mhm.
That's not necessarily what we're talking about. We're talking
Right,
about,
right.
there is a desire there for, a nice smaller home, especially some near our downtown, like you
Mhm.
said, where people
Right.
can live and walk and engage and take the bike trails or take the walking
Yeah.
paths or whatever and come to the downtown activities and things. So I think part of it is just educating people and getting them aware that that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about the misconception that you might have
Mhm.
about what, apartments and these small lot homes used to be.
Mhm.
That's
And
not really the goal.
it actually fits into, our medium density, zoning class, which really takes care of the missing middle. So, you know, the
Yeah.
missing middle, you'll have, the bigger homes and the larger apartments, but it kind of leaves out that area. So, we have a new zoning classification that's called MDR, and it covers, just that missing middle and the a little bit of more density, but it's medium, and it
Nice.
fits in the downtown area. It'll fit into New Horizons. It'll fit into some infill, projects that will, enhance the community at that level. So, and not just for seniors and young professionals, but it gives opportunity for
Yeah.
workforce housing, our police, our nurses, our firefighters. So we're really trying hard to move in that direction. So
Yeah,
yeah,
the variety. I think that variety is the key because
yeah,
we've got some really nice homes in the community. So
yeah,
really
we
big
do.
homes in the community, but that ain't for
Hmm.
everybody.
Hmm.
So you need something. Our goal in Douglasville, we talk about all the time, is to be the community that's got a little something for everybody, no matter what age you are.
Right.
So that's the goal, is to have a housing option, because you don't want people who like, you know what, I'm retiring, I want to downsize, but there's nothing here, so I'm going to have to move to another community. You don't want people
Right.
to have to move to another community,
Absolutely. Yeah.
as you want them to be able to say, hey, I love where I'm at, I love my community, I want to
Mhm.
be able to stay and move into
Mhm.
something smaller and what I'm looking for. So,
And I
and
have
that's
been hearing about some people left and coming back.
yeah.
There's a lot of conversation now where people say, "Yeah, I grew up here. Where were
Yeah.
you before? I was in Atlanta. I was in a different state, and now they're coming back." So
Mhm.
that's really good energy of people who know the area and know people here already. So that really helps to create great neighborhoods.
Absolutely. So, and so you talked about, you guys just updated the zoning, the ordinance stuff, or whatever, development lingo
Right,
you use
right.
to include this.
Zoning
I guess is what
classification.
we're calling it cottage
Right.
style
Well,
classification or something, right?
it'll be medium density residential.
Medium
Yes, which
density
will
residential.
focus on cottages. Yes. So,
Okay. So what defines that thing?
so so
It's just kind of cute small houses.
right.
You're a cottage,
So
and you're like, God, it's so cute.
right. So in our code, we have development standards. So we have a smaller lot, minimum of 4,000 square foot. Excuse me, a smaller house square footage minimum, which starts at 800 square foot, maximum 1,200. So this gives opportunities for developers to build those smaller lots, which can contain cottages. But not
Nice.
only that, we have put in place different type of design types. So, for instance, decorative columns, decorative porches, type of materials like the siding. If you have a crawl space, it'll be wrapped with brick. You can use your classic shingle roofs and metal roofs, but the metal roofs are of a little bit of a more subtle, earthy
Right.
color, like
Yeah.
your sage green and maybe like a burgundy. So this not only helps with a nice challenge for design, but also keeps up with the downtown area. So if you
Yeah.
go to the downtown area, you'll see and we actually have a porch size. So you'll see porches, you'll see the decorative columns, you'll see carports that are decorative, you'll see garages that are decorative. So that kind of puts us in a frame of like you mentioned earlier, we're just not going to throw up anything because
Yeah.
we think you can't afford it. No, we're going to give you the best quality and continue with the best quality that's in downtown in our New Horizons area. So that'll definitely and keep up and enhancing the neighborhood. So yeah.
Yeah, so you guys are putting in the effort to make sure there's still quality builds and quality
Yes.
design work, and we got
Yes.
some design standards and stuff that you meet.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, because that's the intent. If we want somebody, I mean, these are going to be, I mean, you want these to be a little bit more affordable just because they're on a small lot in a tiny home,
Right. Right.
not because it's cheap or cheaply made.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's the goal, and that's how you
Yeah.
create community. Yeah. So
Right.
that's
Right.
awesome. So that's something that's a result we're already seeing from this housing study.
Right. So the
That's something we've already implemented, right?
So the city manager initiated the new zoning as well as the housing report, but it kind of came at the same time. And another thing that's really good too is a lot of developers were coming to the city manager's office and our planning department wanting to continue to do the larger homes, and we would do our best to kind of segue them. We need some affordable housing. Can we do any smaller units? And their numbers didn't work out, so they had to build the way they had to build. But now developers are coming to us and saying we want to build some smaller homes. So that's a good sign that everything is really kind of lining up. What we did study and what we brought forth with the text amendment for the new zoning classification is right in line with what developers are willing to do now. So
Nice.
it's a really good time.
Absolutely. Awesome. So that's good stuff. Like I said, it's a lot, and hopefully, like I said, there's a lot more detail of that housing study.
A lot.
If you want to go listen to the full detail, the there was a presentation at council meetings. It wasn't one that you did, but I think the actual vendor that did the study did it. It's very in depth. It's very detailed. It's not as entertaining as we made it. Hopefully. But it's there if you want to go find it.
Right.
Yeah, so the full stuff is there. But yeah, the gist is, we're looking at who we have here and what kind of housing stock we have.
Right.
With the goal is to, when developers come in and say, hey, here's the data, so here's the need we have. So when they come in and say, hey, we want to build these big houses, we can say, okay, but that's not really a need. That's not what the community is looking for. You might want to consider this cottage style.
Exactly.
So so that's where we are. We're trying to plan for the future, plan for the community, smart growth, guided growth,
Right.
guiding that growth that we're going to see over the next 20 years
Mhm.
into a way that builds the community that our residents want to see.
Right, and it does take time. It's not an
It
overnight
does.
thing,
Yeah.
so 5 to 10 years, but we do have some developers that are expressing interest right now, so we might be able to see something within the next year and a half or so,
Wow.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
good stuff. I mean, it's government. It all, and it moves a little slower, but it's also, it's construction and that moves slower.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
we start now. The sooner we start, the sooner we get a
Yeah,
result,
yeah.
right? So
Yep, yep,
we have
absolutely.
started. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the nutshell of the housing study and community development. Is there anything we missed and didn't talk about that's really important that we get out there for people about community development, Dana?
Um, I think we kinda covered it all. We're
We
always
covered a lot.
available. Any questions, you can always reach us out to us no matter what it is.
Absolutely.
Staff is always here to, answer questions and guide you in the right way, and if we can't do it, we work with other, uh, departments, so we can really take care of you, so and we're always proud to do it, and we're always happy to do it, so
Absolutely. And you can find Dana and all of his team and their contact information on our city website, douglasvillega.gov. If you go to the community development department, all their information is there.
Mhm.
If you do have any kind of a project you want to do in your backyard, if you want to build a shed or a fence or something like that, if you don't know whether you need a permit, you can always call and ask.
Yep, yep.
If you think you do, there's links on the website it'll
Mhm.
walk you step by step on through what you need to do to get the permit and how to do it and everything. So all those resources are available on Chris's website, douglasvillega.gov. Or you can just call Dana and ask him whatever you want, and he's got all
Please.
the answers.
Right. And if I don't, I'll find out for you.
Yeah, it's like we know the answers or we know who has the answers. That's the
Right.
important part.
Absolutely.
We will
Yeah.
get you taken care of. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you. As we wrap up the show, I want to thank you guys all. Thank you, Dana, for this
Thank
in-depth
you. Thank
dive
you for
into community
having me.
development.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Thank you, Chris and Emily, as always, and producer Steve in the background, making it all happen. Thank you for you all joining us and listening and watching, and we will see you next time on Douglasville Impact. Have a great week. Bye, everybody.
Bye, y'all. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.